Hello again. Today's topic is about fear of dying. Are you afraid of dying? Are you afraid of death? I'm 85. Well, I'm going to be 85 years old in August 25. I was born in 1941. And I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of dying. Why not? Well, I found a purpose and a meaning to my life. The meaning I have is I know who I am and I know where I'm going. I would love to live to the age of 113. Why? Because my love of Spinoza and Gurdjieff, their teachings, have given me so much. It changed my life from a self-centered, concerned, envious, fearful young man, always concerned with the opinions of others, fear of rejection, fear of failure. However, the study of Spinoza and Gurdjieff has given me the power, with the help of my teacher, to increase my knowledge. Now, one thing that Gurdjieff talks about, that knowledge without an emotion, and Spinoza concurs with this idea. Actually, Spinoza expresses in his Ethics. But Gurdjieff wrote, I would say, in Ouspensky's book, In Search of the Miraculous, and it's a great book. I recommend it, and you can find it on my website. And this book is excellently written by Ouspensky. However, in chapter 4, Gurdjieff talks about the idea of knowledge and being. And he says, knowledge without understanding is impossible to implement. That knowledge, for instance, when you go to school, you learn about getting good grades. They don't care if you understand. You just want to repeat and copy, or say, repeat, memorize. There's a great difference between memory and understanding. So with the help of my teacher, I learned the process of understanding. I was with my teacher for over 20 years. And then on my own, I decided I didn't understand Spinoza. Without my teacher, I began to apply new effort. And that new effort enabled me to begin to open up my mind and understand Spinoza. A very important part of Spinoza's Ethics, and this is the Ethics, it's the Elwes edition. That's the one I recommend if you decide to work with me directly or indirectly. Anyway, Spinoza's Ethics, the Elwes translation, and the Dover edition. You can find it on my website. Now, this book, if understood, and there's a part called the improvement of our understanding. Now, in that part is prior to the 5 parts of the Ethics. The 5 parts is about God, about the mind, about humans' emotions, about human freedom, and human bondage. But the understanding part, he says, the improvement to understand, and that's what we must do. We must understand this. What does it mean to understand? It improves our thinking. Without the understanding, it's impossible to understand Spinoza or Gurdjieff. See, we are brought up, and I call it our first birth. Our first birth has to do with learning about how to survive. You're in an environment that teaches you how to survive. Your parents are your teachers. And then as you get older, the school system, your phone, the internet becomes your school, your knowledge. However, we never develop our mind to know what is true and what is false. You just imitate. You copy. Especially the first 7 years of your life, being around your parents, you do everything they do because you want to please them. They're your teachers. And so you go through life, you follow things that your parents followed. You believe what your parents believe. Sure, you might go outside the the paradigm. But however, you still have beliefs and desires that are deeply set into your being. If your parents were um, neglectful, they didn't give you the love. They were too busy with their jobs and to surviving. In my case, there were 11 siblings, and my parents were in the mode of survival. They didn't have time to give her the nurturing of love, caring, listening, individual attention. That was impossible. And consequently, everyone in our family suffered from feeling worthlessness, feeling worthless, not knowing what love is. And this is what the gifts that I've learned from Spinoza and Gurdjieff with work, to look at my nature, to free myself from the past, to free myself from trauma, childhood trauma. Oh, I had a lot of trauma. My father was abusive. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of discipline with a belt, without love, discipline without love, setting boundaries without love. You feel. How do you feel? I felt, again, worthless, helpless, unimportant, insignificant. And that's why when we have a lack of love, we have a lack of self. So we rely on the ego self. What is the ego self? The ego self is a substitute. It's a pretentious character. It doesn't tell the truth. It lies all the time. You want friends, so you have a smile all the time. People liked me because I had a smile, but behind that smile was a feeling of fear, feeling of not being important, being neglectful. There's a constant pain, and that's what I decided. The Catholic Church, which I was born into, because my parents were Catholic, it wasn't enough to give me the need I felt I wanted, was desperate of. A new sense of self, a stronger sense of self, an important sense of self, a feeling of love, self-love. And I learned that from Spinoza and Gurdjieff. So I'm not afraid of dying because I have so much to live for. And another thing that Spinoza emphasizes in his ethics is that when the mind is united only to the body, if the mind only knows the body, the ego only knows the senses, the five senses, smell, touch, hearing, sight, and sound. That is a source of information. But if we only know the body, and it's great feeling the body, pleasure, food, sex, money, scenery, visions, sunsets, relationships, jokes, fun. That is fun. That's good. That's okay. But if you only know about the body, and when the body dies, you die with it. But if your mind begins to be aware of something that is eternal and infinite and never dies, and that's what Spinoza found, true happiness, something that was lasting. And I found what Spinoza communicated. I love Spinoza. I believe in Spinoza's God. Einstein believed in Spinoza's God. I believe in Spinoza's God. And I live Spinoza's God. So I'm not afraid of dying because I know my mind will go in the direction of God. Thank you for listening. Hope to hear from you.